everyone, this is Tarie from Let's Talk Finances with Tarie, and this video has been sponsored by Nyamuka Books. Welcome to today's Fin Chat. Today I'm going to discuss about budget stress testing. This is a substantive measure or examination which you do to your budget to see if it can cope under severe pressure or uncertainties. We were all first with the pandemic last year, and many people they faced job losses, many companies closed, and we saw also many small companies not doing well. So that is the basic idea why you need to stress test your budget to see if you have those situations which we don't expect, like the pandemic. We have an example which is very close to every one of us, and many people we felt the impact of it. So that's when your budget stress test comes. It's mainly used by banks, but with me I also advise companies and also individuals to try to use budget stress testing in your households or in your companies, so that you can be able to see if those severe uncertainties, if that thing which you don't expect happens, how are you going to cope through that phase? I will share examples. So my first example, it will be, let's look at a normal household. You are a wife and a husband, you both working. So we want to stress test our budget to see if we can be able to, how are we going to be coping when we are first with those situations which we don't expect. So what I do basically, personally with my husband, we try to do a budget stress test every year. So what we do basically is we try to go 3 months using one person's income. So what we do in those 3 months is this: my own salary, we won't use it in our budget. We won't use it. We will put my salary in a different account, obviously, which gets interest on it. So with this idea, we're trying to see if maybe I wake up and I'm retrenched, how are we going to be coping? So we try to cover all our expenses using his income only and see if we're able to get through those 3 months. If we can't get through those 3 months, we will ask ourselves, are we going to take a loan? Are we going to borrow from friends? What are we going to do to cover the gap which his income can't cover our expenses? So the moment when you pose those questions, you are acting in a proactive manner rather than acting in a reactive manner. When you are first with the challenge, then now we are thinking what you have to do to cover the expenses. So that's the most important part why you need to do a budget stress test. So with us, what we figured what works for us is the moment when we use this income and maybe it's not covering our expenses, we look at ways to increase our income. Like recently, we started doing mushroom farming. So with this mushroom farming, we know it can cater for those other expenses. If we are first with an uncertainty or anything which happens, we know we've got an income which covers for that. Then number 2, let's say you are a landlord, you own a home, but you're using a mortgage or a bond. Let's say on your house you're using it as a sort of an investment. You got tenants in your house. Then maybe you can put a scenario that maybe 2 of your tenants, they just leave without giving you a notice. Are you able to cover your bond cost without going to borrow money? That's also another scenario which you can use to stress test your budget. So with that, the moment when you check if you are able to cover your bond cost, or if you are not able to cover your bond cost, at least you can be proactive in your decision making. In case if something like that happens, you know you will not get into a panic mode because you don't know where to get the other income from. At least you have tried it and tested your budget and see what measures you will take if something like that happens. Then the last scenario which I'll give an example. If maybe you own a company, then let's say maybe your customers, they are not able to pay you on time because they were affected by the pandemic. We know that many people were affected by the pandemic. In that case, what you going to do? So we can give an example that maybe you have that major customer who covers most of your expenses, and we are talking of that customer, they are unable to pay you on time, what are you going to do in those months when your cash flow will be strained? How are you going to survive your business? Are you going to borrow, or are you going to dig deeper into your savings? How are you going to do? So basically, that's the idea why we need to do budget stress testing. That's why I always advise people to practice using budget stress testing. The important part why we need to do budget stress testing is because it's a quantitative measure which can keep you abreast. If you are faced with a rainy day, you won't panic, but you know that you did this before and you know how you can handle that situation. Another thing, a budget stress test, it acts as a proactive measure rather than a reactive measure. You are ahead of your finances. You are ahead of that uncertainty which you might be first on. And remember, we all have those uncertain things which happens in our lives here and there. So it's better we plan for them and we are ahead of them. Lastly, I just want to say, sure, as humans we can handle stress, but can your budget do? It's now time to do budget stress testing. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed this video, and please don't forget to subscribe and like and share with your friends and loved ones. Look forward for my next video, as I'll be talking more on financial literacy journey so that we can be able to make a change on our finances. Thank you.